always watching you. He is always watching me.
Hi guys, it's Night Terror here and I hope everyone is doing well. I do have a few short stories here tonight. So please sit back, relax and enjoy this video and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. When I was 18 I was really into scary movies. I just had the urge to see or experience something scary. It was during this summer that I started researching haunted sites I could visit. Then one caught my attention. Sweet Hollow Road in Long Island. There are a bunch of popular urban legends linked to the site, and all of them had to do with a creepy underpass bridge. A few of the stories speak about the violent deaths of children. One day I told my cousin and my brother, who were also ghost story fanatics, that we should go and visit Sweet Hollows. My cousin had just gotten his license and my mum insisted on tagging along. When we finally got to the underpass, we found nothing. We didn't see anything out of the ordinary. The only scary thing we experienced at that site was that due to the thin zigzag-like road, we almost crashed into a tree. We thought the trip was a waste. But then something strange happened. The next morning my mum swore that during the night she felt like someone or something was watching her underneath her bed. On the other hand, the rest of us had dreamt of a small boy with black hair. He was pale, and none of us could remember his face. Until this day, we still believe that whoever we saw had to be one of the many children who had died at the bridge. When I was 7 years old, we had a ghost in our house. I remember one night when we were talking in the living room and suddenly a glass of water went flying across the counter. Another time the cabinet started opening and closing. It was so bad that my parents got a priest to come to the house and do what would most likely be called an exorcism of some sort. We found out later that an old woman used to live in the house until she was murdered by her husband. We ended up moving, but I still have nightmares. My husband and I lived in a small, unincorporated town on the outskirts of a bigger city. Although we were almost 50 years old, we are 30 to 40 years younger than any of our near neighbours. Most of them have grandchildren who visit regularly and drive them wherever they need to go. Not so for the man I usually just called Professor. His wife, Alina, died 12 years ago. I only knew her briefly, but she and the Professor were one of those life goals kind of couples. I loved spending time with them. They were both so witty and clearly still deeply in love. Alina's passing hit her husband hard. For the last year, he had been battling cancer, with no bus service in our rural area, and cabs from town an expensive long wait. I ended up driving him to the doctors. The Professor had been in the US since his 20s, but he still retained a charming foreign accent. My name he pronounced as Alna. Usually when he phoned me, he would say, "Good afternoon, Alna." Sometimes he would call in the wee hours, in pain, able only to gasp, "Alna." I would drop the phone and run to his house to help him with his meds or take him to the city's emergency room. He was adamant about not staying away from home. He knew the end was near and he wanted to go to his own bed. On October the 1st, at almost 4 a.m, my cell phone rang, showing the Professor's number. When I answered, a strange voice asked, "Alna?" "Yes." I answered. Professor? No. The voice giggled. This is Maria. I'm taking him tonight. Then I woke up. I was sitting up in bed with the phone in my hand. My husband and our dog were sleeping soundly, so the phone hadn't really rung, or had it? I started to call the professor, but if he was managing to get some sleep, I didn't want to disturb him. So I got up and dressed quite quickly, and the dog and I slipped out of the backyard. I could see the professor's house from there. No lights were on, and everything was quiet. I wasn't comfortable though, so I went ahead and dialed 25 rings. No answer. Damn. I knew then. I went back in and woke my husband. He walked to the house and knocked. Nothing. He had to phone the sheriffs. They broke in. The professor died, seemingly peacefully in bed. Because of our unincorporated location, any of the chores which would fall to professionals in an urban area are taken up by neighbours here. So that evening, with a deputy supervision, the families of our block began to sort through the professor's papers. We needed the deed to his burial plot and any kind of will or link to distant relatives. I looked through a small scrapbook of old photos that was on his nightstand. There was no cousin Marco from the old country or nephew Bob from New York City. 1997. It was mostly pictures of Eleanor and the professor, and they had never spoken of young daughter Maria, who had died in 1971.
He is